I spent my entire weekend alone in Hanoi, 36, single, unemployed, no plans. This weekend, I had nobody to go with. No girlfriend, no coworkers, not a single thing on my calendar. I'm 36, currently unemployed, and I decided to spend an entire day exploring Hanoi completely by myself, sunrise to sunset. If you've ever wondered what a day off looks like for someone with no job and no plus one, this is that video. I'm Long, and today we're starting at Hoan Kiem Lake. 9 a.m. I show up at Hoan Kiem Lake. This is basically ground zero for anyone exploring Hanoi's old quarter, and for me, it's also the place I come back to most often whenever I need somewhere to just not think about anything. Before we keep moving, let me drop a few facts, because I don't think a lot of people outside Vietnam know this story. Hoan Kiem literally translates to return sword. Legend says that back in the 15th century, a king named Leloy was given a magic sword by a golden turtle god to fight off invaders. After he won, while he was out on a boat on this exact lake, a giant golden turtle surfaced and he handed the sword back. That's the whole origin of the name. This is quite literally the lake of the returned sword. Right in the middle of the water, there's a tiny stone tower sitting on its own little island. That's Turtle Tower. And on the north side, there's a temple called Ngoc Son, connected to the shore by a bright red wooden bridge called the Hook Bridge. That red bridge is basically the single most photographed image of Hanoi that exists. If you've seen one postcard of this city, there's a good chance it's this bridge. On weekends, the streets around the lake shut down completely to car traffic and turn into a pedestrian-only zone from Friday evening through Sunday night. Street musicians show up, kids play group games on the sidewalk, grandparents do Tai Chi routines a few feet away from teenagers taking photos for social media. Walking through all of that by myself is a strange feeling. You're surrounded by more people than you've seen all week, and somehow that makes it more obvious than ever that you're the only one there alone. A little further along, I stopped by Trang Tien Creamery, which is basically the oldest and most iconic ice cream brand in Hanoi, running since 1958. This isn't the scoop cone ice cream you picturing back home. It's a lot cheaper, about 40 cents a bar, and people just eat it standing right there on the sidewalk in front of the shop, because it melts fast and nobody's carrying it anywhere. The classic flavor is young rice ice cream, made from flattened young sticky rice, which give it this light sweetness and an aroma that's genuinely hard to compare to anything else on earth. It just tastes like Hanoi. You got that? From the lake, about a 15-minute walk gets you into Hien Street. Foreigners here usually call it Beer Street or the International Corner because by nighttime the entire alley fills up with people sitting on tiny plastic stools drinking draft beer that costs about a quarter a glass. During the day it's a completely different vibe. Quiet, half empty, staff just starting to set up chairs and tables. Walking through in the morning feels like seeing the backstage version of a place that's loud and glowing with neon lights every single night.
혼돈의 카운트. By noon, I find my usual spot for bún cham, a dish I honestly think most people outside Vietnam have never even heard of, even though it's every bit as good as pho or bún cha. Here's what makes bún cham different from most noodle soups. The broth and the noodles come in two separate bowls, not combined into one big bowl like pho. You take a bite of noodles, dip them into the hot broth loaded with crispy fried fish, tomato, pineapple, and dill, and then eat. That dip style instead of drown the noodles in broth. Keep the noodles chewy instead of turning mushy from sitting in liquid, while the fried fish stay crispy on the outside and tender inside thanks to a solid marinade before it hit the fryer. The broth itself has a light, tangy flavor from the tomato and pineapple, noticeably different from the deeper, heavier taste of a beef pho broth. This is the kind of dish Hanoi local order when they want something that feels light but still fills you up, especially on a hot day, since it's not weighed down by hours of simmered bone broth the way pho is. In the afternoon, I stop by a pool hall near my place. Playing pool by yourself sounds a little odd on paper, but in Vietnam, a guy walking into a pool hall alone and just joining whoever's already there for a few games is completely normal. Nobody blinks. Why I'm here, let me actually explain why pool is such a big deal in Vietnam, because I think this is genuinely interesting for anyone watching from outside the country. First is dirt cheap. An hour of table time at a regular neighborhood hall runs about $1 or $2, way cheaper than a movie ticket or a night at a bar. For someone
unemployed like me right now, this is about the most reasonable form of entertainment there is. I still get to leave the house and talk to actual humans without spending real money. Second pool in Vietnam doesn't require a group or plan. Most local pool halls have a rotating cast of regulars who happily wave a stranger into the next game. You can walk in solo, watch a round or two, and somehow end up playing with someone you've never met in your life. No introduction required. Third is one of the only forms of entertainment here that span basically every age group. I've watched a 60-year-old man share a table with a college kid, both of them laughing and trash-talking each other after a missed shot. Pool doesn't demand the physical stamina. Soccer doesn't demand the vocal cords. Karaoke does just a decent amount of skill and an even bigger amount of patience. And finally, for a lot of Vietnamese guys, the pool hall functions kind of like the neighborhood bar does in the West. It's less about the game itself and more about having somewhere to talk, decompress after a long day, or just not be alone with four walls and your own thoughts. A weekend alone in Hanoi, for me, isn't the sad story people assume it is. I walked around a lake that's centuries old, ate a 40-cent ice cream bar, had a bowl of noodles most tourists have probably never even tried, and played a few rounds of pool with a total stranger who talked to me like an old friend within 5 minutes. Nobody showing up doesn't mean nothing worth showing up for. Sometimes being alone is the only way you actually see the city you live in, instead of just drifting through it with the crowd. Thanks for watching. I'm Long, and I'll see you in the next one.